Hey, what's up my friend? Keala Kanae here, and in this video we're going to talk about how to hire absolute rock stars for your business so you can continue to grow and crush your goals. And I promise you, there's some stuff in here that you've probably never heard before, so hang with me up until the very end. Right now, today, you can make a decision that changes your life and go out there and get what you came here for. All right, so in this quick video, I'm going to share with you a simple secret about building wealth. And for me, this is both simple and profound, which is one of the markers I found, one of the hallmarks of something that is the truth, right? Is that it's, all right, so in this video, I'm going to share with you exactly how it is that we hire and find phenomenal folks to join your business, right? What is the problem or the challenge? Well, the truth is that everybody knows today how to put their best foot forward in a hiring process or in an interview, right? And so it's got your hiring process or the way that you find and hire people has to be about much more than some rinky-dink, old school, outdated, antiquated interview process, right? So we're gonna dive in. I'm gonna share with you what this all means behind me here. I'm gonna show you several pages worth of stuff online so that you can understand what we use as our hiring process and you can swipe and steal some of this and put it to work for yourself in your business. Now, before I do that really quick, I just want to remind you that if you're liking the content of this video or if you're seeing this on YouTube and you're liking the channel, make sure that you at very least click that little like button down below. Right? If you're seeing this on social media, feel free to share it. If you're seeing it on YouTube, make sure you drop a comment down below, or really wherever you're seeing it, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you like about it. What else can I help you learn? What questions do you have about business or success or life that you would like me to expand on? And if you're seeing this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe and click that little bell notification so you get notified every week that I'm releasing new content to support you in your business and your goals. Now, with that said, let's talk about actually having a hiring process that sifts through all the crud out there and helps you find rock stars to join your business, right? I hear this a lot. Oh, finding good people is so hard these days. No, it's not. You just have a crappy process. That's the problem, right? And one of the worst things that you can do is hire the wrong person. In fact, it can be literally the most costly mistake you ever made is hiring just one intensely bad hire. Ask me how I know, right? So over the years, we've developed a process of hiring that makes sure that we're really testing to ensure that somebody is both a culture fit and a skill fit. I'm gonna pull up an example here. I've got one up for you. And I'm gonna show you an example of our hiring process. So first things first though, before I explain what this page is, I'm just gonna show you this. So this is a hiring process for us when we're hiring new sales reps to join our team. And what I wanted to do is show you that this is online. It's on our Google Drive. It's shared to my director's drives where only my executive team can see it. And this is for the director of sales. So they know exactly what the process is. And every single step of the process is outlined, right? What step the person has to complete. What is that step filtering for? Meaning, what do we want to see from that person, that applicant, in order to move them to the next step? If they pass that filter, here's the next step. So step 2, what are we filtering for? If they pass that filter, what's the next step? And on it goes. So you can see that on this example, if you look all the way over here, I don't know if you can see that, there are 7 steps. So we have a 7-step hiring process just to hire a salesperson. What do most businesses do? Well, they have like a 2-step process, an interview and then a hire, right? Like get an application, let me interview you. Oh, I like you, I'm gonna hire you. And be honest, if you've been a business owner for a while, what do you do in your interviews? Do you end up eventually just shooting the shit with the person that you're interviewing? Pretty common, right? So the challenge is not that it's hard to find great help. It's that most businesses have a crappy hiring process so they don't find great help, right? Instead, they hire the person that's best at interviewing or best at applying, but not the person that's best for the job. So I want to give you an example of that here. So I'm going to walk you through what our hiring process is just for this sales position, okay? Now, there's obviously more positions in the company. This is just one that I pulled up to give you an idea of how this breaks down. Now remember, we want to hire for skills and culture. And I have another video that around here that I might link to that shows you the number one most important thing that you hire for. Is it skill set or is it culture? I'll let you decide. There's a video around here that breaks that down for you. But so let's look at this really quick. First step in our hiring process. So we build a page like this. Okay, so we put ads out there on things like Glassdoor, Craigslist maybe. We'll post some on social media, and we'll drive people to a page that looks like this. That's basically, it's a funnel. Just like we use sales funnels online to find customers, we use sales funnels online to hire talent. So it's a landing page, basically breaks down, what it is that we're looking for, tells us a little bit about tells the visitor a little bit about who we are, what we do, how we do it, why we do it, some of the advantages of working with us, what makes us different. So we want to make ourselves stand out from everybody else out there that they could apply with. Then we tell them, okay, how to apply. Well, number one, you got to read this. This is our values. So I outline our 8 core values of the company. So and I tell them on here, if this sounds like music to your ears, then we might be a good fit. So I want them to read that first. And then if they still want to work with us, they can click here to apply, right? So they click there, first name, last name, email, phone. So much like if you're familiar with online marketing, it's an opt-in form, right? We're taking very simple first step of the application. First name, last name, email, phone number. Once they fill that out, they go to a page like this, right? So this is the thank you page after they complete that. So the next page that they're going to see, it says, great, check your inbox. Dear future team member, thanks for taking the time to apply, blah, blah, blah. Here's what to do next, right? And this is a picture of the director of sales at the time that I'm filming this video. So here's what to do next. Check your inbox for the email from me. This is Kara. So on behalf of Kara, if you don't see it within 5 minutes, check your spam or junk folder. Okay, so number one, check your email. Number two, follow the instructions in the email to complete your application. So here's what the email is going to say when it goes out. The email goes out to them. So somebody came to our website, they saw an ad for a job position on our sales team. They came to our website, they read about the position, they clicked apply. They filled out first name, last name, email, phone number. Anybody can do that step, right? Check out how once you see how this unfolds in terms of numbers, you're going to see why this is so powerful. So now they see this page. They're going to get an email that tells them go check your inbox. In that email, we tell them to do 2 things. 1, please reply to this email with your resume attached. That's number 1. And 2, include in that email what was it that you saw about our company, Full Stack Marketer, that makes you want to work for us specifically. In other words, I want to know, did you actually read the landing page, right? What is it that you read? Like, what did you learn about us? What is it about us specifically that makes you want to work with us specifically? So you have to take 2 steps there, okay? Reply to the email, attach your resume, give me 1 sentence about what did you see that makes you want to work with us specifically, which again, just tells me, did you actually take that first step, okay? And read about the company, okay? Well, check this out. Now, I'm not going to pull this up on here because I'd be showing people's contact information, but we had 70-something applicants, a little over 70 applicants, and only about 18 competently completed step 1. So without even having to do anything, we filtered out 70, 80% of the people who applied just because they weren't even competent enough to follow a simple instruction. Reply to the email, attach your resume, add this, and tell us to answer this 1 question. People would reply and answer the question but not attach their resume or give us some excuse about why they don't have a resume, blah, blah, blah. Or they would attach the resume but not answer the question, right? What does that tell us? Well, it tells me very quickly, right away, is this somebody who has got great communication skills and follows instructions carefully? If they didn't do both steps, they are not. I don't give a shit about your stupid excuse about why you don't have a resume up to date and I'll email it to you in a week. Cool, get it done. You should have responded in a week. If they're going to give me an excuse about why they don't have their resume, guess what? They're probably going to give me an excuse about why they couldn't get their job done later on down the road too. And if I find that out about you now, I don't need that hassle down the road. Very simple, okay? So we literally get rid of 70 to 80% of applicants, first step, okay? So about 18 of these people qualified to move on to our second step, which our second step was an interview. So I'll show you that. Okay, so I have a whole script for the interview. I have a video that trains the person who's going to do the interview about what this interview is intended to do. And I have a script for that interview, right? So follow the script. Obviously, the interviewer doesn't have to read it word for word, but it gives them a breakdown of what this whole interview process is about. And then we have questions that we ask in that interview. And if at the end of that video, that interview, we feel that they're a good fit, and this is a very general interview, tell me a little bit about yourself, what makes you want to work here, what are your income goals, blah, 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 things like that, right? Simple stuff. At the end of that interview, we're just trying to see like, are they going to be a good fit? Like generally speaking, is this a good fit? And at the end of it, we give an assignment. Now, I'm gonna make sure that I frame this properly. Just because I do it doesn't mean that you can do it. You have to make sure that you review the laws in your state, talk to an attorney, talk to an HR company, whatever you have to do in your state to make sure that you know what's legal and what you can ask for in your process. But here's what we do in ours, is we want to make sure that somebody is a great cultural fit. So at the end, we assign them a book at the end of the second interview. So we literally say in the second interview, we clearly say, hey, just want to let you know up front, our hiring process is very long, and it's intended to be long so that we only hire rock stars, right? So some people, they don't like the idea of that. They don't want to jump through a bunch of hoops not knowing for sure if they got the job. So if that's you, then this is your chance to back out now. Is that clear? Would you like to back out now that you know that? And typically they say no, but a bunch of them actually fall off there anyway because they're not a rock star. They're not, you gotta remember, to the right person who really wants this gig, they go like, oh man, like this job must be awesome if they're gonna like make it hard for me to get hired, right? And they wanna rise to the challenge, right? You're good, your perfect fit for your business is gonna probably wanna rise to the challenge. Don't you want them to rise to the challenges of their role in your company? So some people drop off after this interview, some don't. So we let them know that the hiring process is long and there's multiple steps, and at the end of it, you still might not get hired. Do you still want to stick with it? If they say yes, great, then we continue to work with them. And we'll go through the rest of the interview. If they say no, then they're out. So at the end of that interview, we assign them a book. We say, hey, what's really important, one of the things that's really important to us, and one of our values is going to be about growth and development, and you wanting to become more as a person. So we have a book that we require everybody to read, and that book is Something Something Thinketh by James something or other. And that's exactly how we say it, right? Now, I'm not going to say the name of the book in case somebody who's in our hiring process is watching, but we say it that way specifically so we don't tell them the name of the book or the author's name. We just give them a clue. Why? Because I want to make sure that this person, because of this position that they're being hired for, I want to make sure that they're a good problem solver. Because in order to be good at sales, you got to be a good problem solver. You got to learn how to, take a little bit of something and not have the whole picture and make it work, right? I want them to be able to think on their feet. So we literally say it that way. They'll ask us, well, what's the title of the book? I'm looking it up right now. Oh, you'll figure it out. That's what we say. You'll figure it out. I'm sure you'll figure it out. It's a short read. We just want you to read the book and give us a quick little, one pager or less of how are you going to apply what you learned from the book. Now, I want to be clear, we do not want a book report. We've all read the book. We don't need to be told what the book is about. We want to know how specifically are you going to apply the content of the book to your life. Is that clear? They'll say yes. We say, great. When do you think you can get that done by? Now we get a date from them, a deadline. They set their own deadline. We tell them the book is really short. It takes an hour or two to read, but they set their own deadline. At the end of that, we put the interviewer is going to make a note on their account of that, and they have until that date to get us their breakdown of the book, right? So we have people that email us afterwards and go like, wait, is this the book? Is this not the book? And my team that's hiring knows not to respond to that. They have to figure it out on their own. Now, we have had people that got the wrong book. That's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We had a woman one time who got a different book geared towards females. I think it was an adaptation of the original. We still hired her. It was great, right? She had her reasons as to why she chose that. We want to see, are you willing to figure it out, right? And so basically they set their deadline of when they're going to turn that in. Now, if they turn that in late, they're out, right? Gone. If they are afraid to go buy a book and read it because they're not sure it's the right one, they need to be told every little thing in order to get the job done, they're not a good fit for our sales team. So we push them through that process. Now, assuming that they complete that, then there's a second interview. Now, this interview also has a script, as you can see, and this interview is much more in-depth, right? And by the way, if you want a couple of great books on this, Who is a great book about this topic, like probably the best that I've read. about hiring, and Hire to Fit is also another good book / course / stuff that you can find online. So just giving you that as some thoughts. But getting back to this point, what we do next is we take them into a more rigorous interview. Now we're going to say things like, when we call your former employer, what are they most likely to say about what are they most likely to tell us is your greatest weakness? Now, the reason we have that question, think about the way that that's phrased, is we say, when we call your former employer, right? So they've put that on their resume, right? When we call person at this company, what are they most likely to tell us is your greatest weakness? Why do we say that? Because we want them to know, hey, oh shit, they're going to actually call them? Oh, what is that person actually going to say? We want the truth because it gets them to tell us the truth because they think we're going to actually call that person, and maybe we will, maybe we won't. I don't know. Point is that it gets them to tell us and divulge some things that they otherwise typically would not share in an interview. Right? Instead, they're just going to continue to try to put their best foot forward. But we want to get to, what is your, like, oh, I work too hard. Oh, I'm a perfectionist. Those aren't freaking weaknesses. That is a piss poor answer. That is you trying to frame your strength as a weakness. It's no thought whatsoever. What is really your weakness, right? What are some real weaknesses that you face? Oh, I tend to be late on things. I tend to not have the best communication. I tend to maybe not communicate effectively to people below me, whatever it might be. I would rather know in advance what are your weaknesses than to hire and find out. If we know in advance, we know what to prepare for. If we hire and then find out, which is what most businesses do, well, then you're SOL, right? You've already hired the person, now you're stuck with their stuff. And here's the thing, when you figure out that somebody's not a good fit for your team, what do most business owners do, or managers or leaders do? They tend to think, oh, I'm gonna fix it. Oh, we could work around it. They just need some training, da, da, da. But typically, be honest, 9 times out of 10, when you identify that, I don't know if that person's gonna make it, what ends up happening 6 months or a year later? They don't eventually make it, right? So you might as well just fire them the first moment that you have a hint that they're not gonna be a fit. And this process, again, gives us the hint as to whether or not they're gonna be a fit in the long term, way up front before we've invested too much energy and money and time and resources into them. After they go through the second interview, again, all the questions are here. I talk about what we're filtering for and what the next step is. Then they go into a third interview, which is basically just a final, like, hey, we want to let you know that you completed the process, and now we're going to bring you into our training. So then we will actually hire them on to begin their training. Okay, so you see step 6, we bring them into a group training. So there's a couple other mediocre steps that they have to fill out. Step 6, training. So we take them into the group training. At this point for our sales team, they're going to learn the script. They're going to do mock calls. It's typically a 3-day training program. They are going to listen to recordings of calls. They are going to do mock calls themselves. They're going to learn the script. We give them the script in advance and tell them you need to learn the script. Oh, by the way, sorry, let me back up. I just remembered. Some of the other steps that we'll do here, depending on what people are hiring for as an assignment, is we'll have them go, every single person who gets hired by us goes through our customer acquisition sequence. So in other words, they go to our landing pages, they opt into our funnels, they watch our sales material that we use to acquire customers, and they go through our onboarding sequence. When somebody's bought, how do they get onboarded into the company? They join our Facebook groups. They do all of that so that every single person who joins our team knows exactly what journey a customer took to start working with us. Because the last thing that you want to have is somebody who is working with a customer of yours that doesn't even understand what all the epiphanies were that brought them to working with you in the first place. The last thing you want is somebody sitting at customer support answering a ticket who has no idea why your customer is there to begin with, right? And can't identify with the journey that your customer is on. Horrendous, it makes for a horrendous experience. So every person gets to know that. That's one of our steps in our hiring process. Typically, after we've already done a couple hires and we know, hey, a couple interviews and we know that we really like you, you might be a good fit, then we'll have them go through that. And our sales team, they go through that and they give us 2 things. What are your top 10 objections to joining? Because you're in sales and you're going to deal with those objections. So now that you've seen our whole presentation and our customer acquisition funnel, what are your objections? Top 10. Then in another interview, we say, now overcome those 10 objections. And we want to know, like, if they just start saying random things off the top of their head and not knowing the answer, I want to know that right now, because I don't want people bullshitting customers of mine when they're on the phone with them. But if they have the courage to say, you know, I don't have the answer to that, but I'm going to get back to you on that. Integrity, right? We want that person. So anyway, once they get through all those steps, then the final thing is a group training, at least for our sales team. Bring them on for training. There's a paid training program. And then at the end of that, if they're still a great fit, then we actually welcome them onto the team. Otherwise, we'll stop it there. They got paid for their training, but they're out, right? So even when somebody gets brought on board to train, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're a full-scale hire. If they start to display behaviors in the training process that is a concern, we want to cut it there. It's better. Is it painful? Yes. It hurts? Yes. But you know what? It hurts less than having somebody on your team who's 6 months from now, who has, you know, moved things around in your organization and your company. They have access to files and you're not sure what they have access to. You're not sure exactly what projects they're working on. It makes it, the longer they're there, the harder it is to let go of, typically, right? So you might as well, at the first sign, let them go. So hopefully this gives you an idea of how to create, when you're hiring, you want to figure out what is the role, what are the skills that I need for that role, how can I test for those skills in the hiring process, what is the culture of our organization, how can I test for that cultural fit in my hiring process. If I have a good skill set and good culture fit, then I can bring them closer into the fold, and now I'm going to bring them on board to training. But training does not necessarily mean that you're full scale hired. If you screw up in the training process, you're out. If you create a longer hiring process, is it painful? Is it frustrating? Does it have its own shares of downsides? Absolutely. But here's what I'll promise you. In the long run, it is less painful than hiring the wrong person, because you were too lazy to build a deep hiring process. So hopefully you get everything that I just laid down. I know I spewed a lot on you right there. I just dropped a ton of information on you, but my message here is very clear. If you want to hire rock stars, create a rock star hiring process that makes sure that you only get rock stars on your team. And I promise you, you want to build an A company, you need A players, period. So with all that said, if you like the content, go ahead and drop a comment down below. Let me know what questions do you have about hiring or the hiring process that we use. Drop a comment down below. If you like the video, which clearly you do because you watched this long, then make sure you click a like on the video. If you're seeing this on social media or some place where you can share it, please share it. And if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the channel and click that little bell notification, join the bell squad, so you get notified next week when I roll out new content to you. Take care, my friend, and I look forward to seeing you in the future. Bye.